Audible?
Yes, Utkarsh, loud and
Hello.
clear.
Hi everyone. Let's wait for 5 to 10 more minutes so that everyone can join. We'll start with the session shortly.
Hello guys, this is Nandini Katare. I'm part of the IEEE WIE CUSB executive team and I will be your host today. So before we start with this session and before we hear our amazing speaker speak, let's try to interact a little, let's talk a little, right? So how many of you know about open source coding or GitHub or anything like that? Like raise your hand. Sure, Devan Sharma, please unmute yourself. Devan Sharma?
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Hello. Hello, Nandini. Am I
Hi.
audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
And so I learned about open source approximately in my 11th class.
Okay,
So
okay.
that time I was in ninth. I studying about the Linux, and that I get to know that I can create my own operating system using open source repos. So that's the path I choose about Linux, and I love to use Linux, and I'm currently using Pop OS. And sometimes I upload some open source codes for GitHub repos that we use. So I'm not that
Okay,
advanced
so,
person,
okay, okay.
but I am just doing myself to improve myself.
That is
And
great. So, what would you say is your reason to join today's session?
so actually, I actually think is that now I want to learn about development, and for development we need a team, and for to work with team we need a system that we can communicate with each other, and for that Git is very important.
Okay, okay. That's
and
great.
and GitHub is the matlab, the father of Git. You can say that
Yes.
everyone use GitHub, so no one use the other Git repos like Git Bank and other things. So GitHub is the best, and of course they provide the free things to students, and which person don't like the free things.
Well, that is great.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
for
much.
sharing.
Thank you very much, Devansh. You took half my session.
Oh, sorry.
Great, great.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Great. So, I think a bunch of people have joined now, but Suraj Kiran Eri, you wanted to say something, please do.
I just want to add that I have been also using GitHub for almost a month, and due to some fortunate or unfortunate reason, I am using Ubuntu as my primary OS.
Okay, okay. Well, I hope you learn whatever you want to from the session, and it makes you learn more about open source coding and GitHub, and makes you want to do more into projects and get into the world of computing. So we here at IEEE WIE CUSB have brought you this session because we wanted you to get into this vast world of open source coding, and for you to know about what is Git, GitHub, and even what is Hacktober. Like, do any of you know what is the Hacktoberfest? So I don't think there are any responses. So Hacktober is this month-long open source contribution fest, and you can openly contribute on it, and you can use GitHub for that. And you get a lot of goodies when you contribute and you finish your projects. So we wanted to bring you this and for you to learn more about it. And for that, on behalf of IEEE Women in Engineering, I would like, and I'm privileged to welcome Mr. Utkarsh Luthra, sir. He is the founder and CEO of Medoc Private Limited. He is an ex-code chef, a UI UX designer, a web developer, and so much more. And he would be teaching you about all the GitHub repositories, open source coding, and everything you need to know to start your basics and even join the Hacktoberfest. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Nandini. That was a beautiful intro. I'll be taking some of it for myself as well. Now, before we start, I just want to get a brief overview. How many of you are from first year? You could raise your hand. There's a nice button there. Or, so I'm assuming everybody else is from second year or third year, right? Great. Okay, so one thing, let me make this very straight about myself. I absolutely hate PowerPoint presentations, especially for educational purposes. So today's session will be very, very hands-on. What that means is that you need to open your laptop. Please don't join this using your phone. Even if you are using a phone, keep it on the side and open a laptop on the other hand. And try to do whatever I'm saying in 1 hour or how much ever long the session ends up to be. I don't believe that we can learn the vast amount of open source and about Git and GitHub and everything. But let me first of all welcome you all to Hacktoberfest. And the thing about Hacktoberfest is, it is on a global level one of the largest festivals of open source. And now we are throwing this word open source a lot. How many of you know about open source? Google Meet has added a beautiful feature of raising your hand. So now the chat won't have spans of. Yeah, if you can also switch on your cameras, that will be much more interactive. This session will be very, very interactive. I'll make that very clear from right now itself. And the reason why it will be interactive is because we are doing Git and GitHub. You know why Git and GitHub is used? It is used for collaboration. It is used so that developers can interact with each other. And when we are doing a session on Git and GitHub, anything less than very, very interactive is boring. Okay, so I'm going to pick a few people over here, and then we'll keep on changing those people who will be putting their commits into the main repository of Women in Engineering, Chandigarh University. Okay, but before we go on to all of that, I was talking about Hacktoberfest, Hacktoberfest, sorry, Hacktoberfest. So regarding Hacktoberfest, I'll be presenting my screen. And what is a better presentation for something than their own website? Is my screen presenting?
Yes, sir, it is
Okay.
visible.
Okay, great. So let me first of all make this very clear that Hacktoberfest happens every single year in the entire month of October, where people come together and put contributions on open source repositories, open source organizations. And in the end, if you are able to make 4 pull requests, don't think these words are very heavy. We'll be talking about all of these things in detail as you move forward. Okay, if you get 4 pull requests which are accepted in an organization or in multiple organizations repositories, again, don't put too much emphasis on the words, you can get one of two things. One, the first thing you can get is a Hacktoberfest t-shirt, and the second thing you can get is to plant a tree which will always have your name on it. Okay, so whichever you prefer, you are given an option in the end, and there are 50,000 t-shirts which are distributed by Hacktoberfest every single year, and even more trees which are planted by Hacktoberfest every year. So when you're contributing, you are not just contributing to some repository, you're also contributing to the environment. If say you take the plant option, if you take the t-shirt option, you are just nullifying that effect, but it looks cool, so why not, right? Take the plant, please. Moving forward. So how many of you know how to code? Four hands raised. Is everybody else sleeping or have they not joined CSE yet? Great. So we have 9 people who know how to code. Now I'll tell you the good news for everybody else who does not know how to code. Open source is not just about code. If you are a video editor, it's for you. If you are a content writer, you are most wanted in the world of open source. If you are a graphic designer, you can contribute in so many repositories. If you are, say, just good with English, you found an error in some website, go ahead, correct it yourself. If you are good at code, on the other hand, there is a wide range of things you can contribute to. What kind of code? Every single kind of code. It can be Android development, it can be web development, it can be as simple as, say, writing a Python script, or it can also be writing documentations. So no matter what you do, there is something you can add on to the uh, there is some way you can contribute to the open source world, and you can contribute to repositories. Okay, I'm saying this word repositories again and again, so I need to come to that very quickly. But let's finish this up first. So for Hacktoberfest, what you need is you need to click on start hacking, and it will authenticate your profile. It will maybe it will ask for your GitHub account or some way of logging in. I had already logged in before the session, so it just directly added me on. Okay, and then after that, this is the first thing. So I think you already know the minimum requirement for contribution is number one, uh, a GitHub account, because without GitHub, none of this matters. So I hope everybody has a GitHub account. If you don't have a GitHub account, I'll be blabbering for the next 5 minutes. Go ahead and quickly make a GitHub account by that time. Okay, and I'll give a quick overview of what GitHub is. So this is GitHub. It is called the social media of developers, and the reason why it is said so is because anything that I do, all my followers will be able to see it on GitHub, and anything that anybody I follow does in like any code or any new repository or anything, they can also see. But that is something which you hardly use ever. What it is more is your profile section, your entire portfolio. It is something which will never ever lie. Anybody's GitHub. Okay, so I'll tell you something very interesting for this. Ignore this part. Uh, all your contributions which you do are written over here. Anything that you put, any activity that you have on GitHub is added over here. And the interesting thing about GitHub is, how many of you have heard of the app called Blender? So Blender is an application which is used for 3D modeling and for video editing and all of these things. Okay, I'll tell you what very interesting thing. Blender is open source. What that means is that the entire code of Blender is available publicly over here. This is the entire code of Blender. Okay, and you can go into docs, externs. You can see what are the languages used in this. You can see different modules of this entire thing. Okay, so and Blender is something which is used very extensively for 3D animations rendering. Want to know some other something else? How many of you are aware of what is Python? 4 people. Okay, so Python is a programming language. Okay, and this is a programming language you'll all be learning as you move forward. It's a beautiful programming language, very simple to learn. And Python is available on GitHub as in the topic, and then all these, every single person who is using Python in their project, all of that comes up. So there are around 1 million repositories which use Python like directly. Okay. Other than this, you can search for legit anything and you'll find something in the open source world. Okay. So open source means that the code of that particular software or application is available to the public openly. Okay. And this session is about how you can find repositories where you can contribute and how you can find repositories where uh, people are required, good first issues, or probably about how to find these repositories yourself. Okay. And as for the Hacktoberfest part, I can tell you that Women Engineering Chandigarh University has its own repository. I'll be putting this in the chat so that all of you click on it, open it up very quickly. Happened? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, open it up. Tarak Kumar, Jagdish Bhatta, do you have anything you want to ask? Okay. So now that we're clear on what GitHub is, so again, let me make this very clear between Git and GitHub. GitHub is just a platform, okay, where all of this code is stored. GitHub is the platform. It's like Google. You can think of it like Google Drive, where all of your files are stored together. Okay, and it is a platform where you can search for other developers. You can see their work. You can analyze what they're working on. You can see exactly how many days they've worked and how many they've not. It is a platform where you can see all your followers working. It is a platform where you can correct things which are on the internet if they are open source. And it is the platform which very this is very interesting. We are moving towards Git as we move forward in this session. Okay. And the interesting thing is that every single organization that you enter after this, they will not mention it that you have to know Git and GitHub, but it is a skill they are assuming you already know. Okay, so this is one thing which you are not probably taught initially. So B is doing an amazing initiative here by taking a session on Git and GitHub, because most of the people will assume anyways that you know what Git and GitHub is. Okay, so today let's go through this completely. Okay, so this is the repository of Hacktoberfest 2022 of B Chandigarh University. Anything that you do over here, any patches, any updates on this given site, on this given repository. A repository is basically a folder. Okay, don't overthink that or don't get confused with it. A repository means a folder, the parent folder in which all other folders of all other files are stored. Okay, and we'll get into what it is in more depth as we move forward. Okay, so this over here is a very incomplete repository. What that means is that there are a lot of things you will see which are wrong, which should not be there. So you can go ahead and correct it. How do you do that? This is what this session is about, and this is where Git comes in place. Okay, so let's pick a few people from this session. Let's pick up any first year students who want to volunteer, or even second year. Okay, Suraj. So let's pick up Suraj, Devansh, and Jagdish. Okay, there are three people. Suraj, okay, I think it's visible. And then so Suraj over here, let's say he is a front end developer. Okay, he is good with HTML, CSS, and he's good with basically front end technology. And he is trying to make the website his own portfolio website. Okay, and he started writing code for it. He made a very beautiful website. Kudos to him. But then he thought, why not also add a blog to it? Because why not? He is also probably a very good writer. So he decided, let's put a blog to it. And for that, he needed help of Devansh. Because Devansh apparently is a very good backend developer. Okay, these two characters are clear. Wait a second, let me just. Yeah, these are two characters of our story right now. Okay, now the way these two folks work is that Suraj sent his entire code to Devansh via WhatsApp because he did not know anything else. Then Devansh looked at the entire code and told him 30 things which are wrong with his code. Then he sent that list of 30 things to Suraj that you need to correct this, otherwise I cannot write my code. Then Suraj again made all of those 30 corrections. He sent it to Devansh. Devansh was still not satisfied, and Devansh is also a little bit lazy. So he decided, let's give him a list of another 3-4 things. Let's delay it a little bit more. He sent that entire list again to him. Then after that he corrected it and then again sent it to Devansh. All of this is happening on WhatsApp by the way. Okay. And Devansh finally thinks, okay, let's update. He updates the entire code and he sends it to Suraj. After that, Suraj looks at the entire code, he looks at the entire website and he realizes that it's all great, it's all working, but he's not satisfied. What he also needs is that the blog should have some content. And apparently, Suraj thought he's a very good writer, but he is not. So that is where Jagdish comes in. Okay, and Jagdish is a content writer, and he's also good with graphics. Okay, and so now the issue is that they created this entire blog and everything, but Devans did not do a very good job at integrating a system so that Jagdish can write his content directly. So he has to hard code them, which is a very bad idea. Never do that if you're making a web blog site. Okay, so now Suraj sent all of that code to Jagdish. Jagdish wrote all of the things he had to do, and then he sent it to Suraj. All this time, every time this any arrow is happening, there is a main repository or the main server, okay, up here somewhere, and Suraj is updating it again and again. He's again sending things over there, and he's again pulling things from there. All of that is happening. In all of this, Suraj, Devansh, and Jagdish took approximately 5 to 6 days for a very simple project, which was supposed to take 1 day or 2 days. Okay, so are we clear of what are the problems here? First of all, there is no system of proper communication of code. Secondly, they are not able to basically update the things very well. The issues are going back and forth, and it's just basically the entire system is not efficient and it's not convenient. Because Abhi, right now we have three people. We have Suraj, Devansh, and Jagdish. Let's say I add every single person who is in this meeting into this flowchart, and everybody has a different role. So let's say if I add over here, who should we add? Let's say if I add over here Ayush, okay, and Ayush is, let's say, a front end developer, and Devansh sent the same code to both of these people. Now, who is exactly going to write the correct code? There's a lot of communication involved. There's a lot of basically it's a hassle. It's a very, very big hassle. I added one more person and we have a lot of variables into this. The way GitHub works is that we say each and every person has access to the main repository. Okay, this is where all of the code is stored. This is GitHub. Typing. And I'm giving a very layman examples and very lame. I'm explaining this in a very layman manner. Okay, so that you're able to understand it, you're able to grasp it. Don't take it on a very high technical level. Some things might not be very accurate, but as long as you're able to understand the gist of it as you move forward, those inaccuracies will also be resolved. Okay, so GitHub, all the code is stored in one place. Now from this code, maybe Devansh wants a bit of it. Okay, let's add all of these characters in this. Okay, there's Devansh, there is Jagreesh, and then there is Ayush, and there is who was the person who owned this entire thing? I forgot his Suraj. Yeah. Okay. Now they have access to the entire code base. Devansh can easily put things into this code base. Okay. He can put things into it. Jagdish can see all the updates happening. He can pull the entire updates into the system, and then he can make updates to it. And after that, Ayush can also see the changes happening. Suraj spotted a problem. He just listed it out over here only on a to-do list or something which is added over here. Okay, we're creating GitHub from scratch. Okay, so let's say they added a to-do list or something over here. Okay, and he wrote what are things wrong over here. All of these people are able to see it. Let's imagine these are 100 people. All 100 people are able to see these changes. Okay, and at the same time we have a history now that Devansh updated something at this time, Jagdish updated something at this time, Ayush did something to it over here, Suraj made some mistake over here, Devansh corrected it over here. Okay, we have all of that listed out. Okay, so in this entire process we have created a system where people can come together and collaborate on code, and not just code, on projects. These projects can be anything. It doesn't have to be a website. It can be anything as large as Blender, which is an application. It can be anything as large as LibreOffice, which is the competitor of Word. It can be anything as simple as probably your own personal portfolio website, or even as a matter of fact, it can be something as simple as your notes. You can store all of your class notes on GitHub and visit it whenever you need it. So that is a basic information about what the scope of things you can do. Other than this, what you can also do is you can check out how professionally code is written and how all of these huge applications are bundled together and all of their files are set up. You can study all of them. Okay, so now that we have a basic idea of what GitHub is, and we have a basic idea of how things work in GitHub, you see all of these arrows. These arrows are basically operations, right? These are things which are being done in the repository, and things which are being, like for example, if Jagdish made any changes, Devansh is pulling it back to his personal system, and then he's putting it back. So all of these operations are happening. These operations are happening through a tool called Git. Okay, and think of it like this: GitHub is the destination, your personal computer is the source, and Git is the road. Okay, you see the word hub. Think of it like a hub of Git, and think of it like a lot of roads merging into one single place. I mean, you get the point, right? So Git is basically about these operations. These arrows are Git. Okay, is that clear? Anybody who has a doubt, please raise your hand. Jagdish, any issue? Either the raise hand button is broken or he's sleeping. He's not sleeping. Great. Now, the thing is, now that this part is clear, you see these arrows, we need to name it, right? We need to name it something. Let's say this is the main repository. This is what I care about. Okay. Every time I am getting something from the repository, let's call it a pull. Okay. Every time I get something from the repository, I'm calling it a pull because I'm pulling code from the repository. Okay. And every single time I'm putting code into the main repository, I'm calling it a push. Does it sound good? No issue. Does that sound good? Every time I'm getting something from the main repository to myself, the pull or the push. Okay. And so this is now there for everybody. Every time there's a problem which I see. You see this ledger? Let's call these from now onwards issues. Okay. Forget that I have this thing called issues. Okay. And so pull, push, issues. Anytime I'm pushing code in, remember this you're recording this history. Let's say every time I push code into it, we are saying that I made a few commits. Okay, I committed some things in the repository. Okay, so let's call these things commits. Are we getting the basic language of GitHub? Commit, push, pull, all of it. Any problems in that? Great. Okay. I'll do this thing. I'll keep this asking over here so I can read your comments as well. Yeah, better. Now, when we are clear on this entire part, now here comes who is the organizer. Let's say here comes Nandini. Okay, and her role is that all of these things which are happening, first of all, happen on time, and secondly, these should happen properly, so that nobody's putting wrong code or nobody's putting corrupted code into the main repository. Okay, so her role is to protect this entire system. So the solution which Nandini came up with, and by the way, this project is no more students, it's now Nandini's project. Okay, so the thing which Nandini decided to do was she created a barrier that nobody does anything on her repository anymore unless she allows it. Okay, she has created some kind of a semi-permeable membrane around the entire main repository. Okay, so now every time Devansh is pushing something, it is not going in directly. It is going through Nandini now. Okay, and every time he can pull code out, that is not an issue. But every time he's putting any changes to it, he needs to take permission. Okay, and the thing is, the reason why this system is in place, why you don't need permission for pulling and why you need permission for pushing is very obvious. This is called staging changes. Okay, once you stage changes, you can write a commit message now. Let's give it a commit message. Let's give it any commit message. I'm calling it changes in binary .txt. Okay, and then after that, click on this button, commit and push.
Sir, I have to write something here.
Yeah, you have to write a message. Change. You can write anything. You can write update to binary search.cpp. And click on the commit and push button. Yes. Yeah, let it be pass. Just press enter. Press to fork. So what happened over here was that they once forgot to fork it. So now GitHub is doing that part itself. Okay. Go on the source control icon. Check that file once, or the binary search one. Does it have the change that you did?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now go on the source control again, and you see the three dots option.
Yes, sir.
Click on it. Open, create a pull request. Give the pull request a nice title. Okay, and after that, create it.
Oh, sir,
Scroll
I
down.
have to write something in description also.
I mean, you can if you want to. You're supposed to usually, but you can just create for now. Okay, so both of us made changes to the same file. Now when I go on pull requests, you can stop sharing.
Okay, sir.
Now when I go on pull requests, I can see there's this thing called updation in binary search, and there's this thing called changes in binary search. Okay, so if I go on changes in binary search, I'll just open both of these things. If I go on changes in binary search, this is what it shows. If I go on this commit of it, this is what it was initially, this file, and this is what I made it. In binary search.cpp, this was the change which happened. Okay, I removed this much and I added this part. And in this second pull request, if I look at update in binary search, it's the same thing, but the line is different. Now the Dipanshu here will show you how he merges both the things, and there is no conflict at all.
Alright,
Dipanshu?
guys. So yeah, I'll take over, and I'm presenting my screen right now. One second, just give me a sec. Hoping that my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, now it is visible. So I'll show you one sec. So see, this is the panel that I have with me. So basically, this is the Hacktoberfest on WIE Chandigarh University. So these are the requests that come with me. These are the pull requests that have come up. So this is the current updation in binary search that has been showed up by Codex Devans. So basically what happened was that there was a minor change in code and it has been commented on. And see, this is the merge pull request that I'm getting over here, that it has no conflicts with the base branch and merging can be performed. So all that I have to do at my end to give you that one particular point for the Hacktoberfest is to like accept your merge pull request. Alright. And then I just have to confirm it. Once I confirm it, it gets updated that WI Chandigarh University merged commit, and now it has been committed to the main branch, and you guys get your 1 point. And from here, I label it as approved. So this is the thing that happens at my end. So this is what I have to do for all of you. So all these requests that are coming to me, if they come up, like I'll show you one array that does not work. It was showing some errors. So
Can you also add this thing, changes wala thing, the one I added?
the changing of conflicts, right?
No, go back once.
Yes.
The one which the pull request I opened up, changes in
Mm-hmm.
binary search.
Mm-hmm. You want to merge it?
Yes.
All right, sure.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now that you have merged both these files, if you open that file, go on code once.
Of the same code. Okay, 1 second. Okay. This is.
No, not this, not this, not this. The overall code, main code.
I'll go from here itself, like in this one.
No. I'm saying go on the code, the main root of the repository.
Yeah, it was.
And can you open the binary search.cmp file?
Binary search is this. Binary search.
No, not this one. The main one in the root.
The root file. Can you tell me about the root file? Which one is the root file?
Wait, I'll present myself.
Wait, alright. I'll just shut it down for you.
Yes, this is the file I was talking about. So both of us made changes, and as you can see, this is his change, this is my change, and they're both committed into it. When I look at the history of this file, I can see all the changes which have happened in this. This file was created by Abhishek 21 hours ago. After that, I made a few changes to this file. After that, Devansh made a few changes to this file, and then it was pulled by the Chandigarh University. Okay, so you can see all the individually, but the files history as well. And not only that, you can go back to that time as well. I can go to what Abhishek did, and I can look at what he did, and I can see whatever is happening. I can even go on individual lines of this, and I can write comments to his line. Okay, I can write. Uh, I'll not write anything. I'll just put it full stop. And I can add a single line comment. Okay, because this line has a comment, and Abhishek will get a notification that I commented on this. Okay, so these pull requests for this Hacktoberfest will be resolved for sure. And as for the resources for newer profiles, for places where you can participate, other than these repository, is these ones. So these are all the projects which are a great fit for beginners to put their efforts in Hacktoberfest. You can check them out. You can add code to it. You can add content to it. You can add documentation to it. Okay. And this session was mainly about Hacktoberfest, and I cannot put enough emphasis on the fact that it is not just for people who know how to code. It is also for the people who are good at content, or if you find an error, or if you are good at graphics, you can make changes directly in repositories which Google and Microsoft create, like Flutter or TensorFlow. These are all open source. You can make changes directly to those repositories if you have the caliber to do so. And the open source community is a very welcoming community. You have to abide by their rules, and as long as you do that, they will welcome you with open hearts, open arms. And so yeah, that was pretty much it for my lecture. Thank you very much for joining in. If there is any question that you have, this is the time to unmute.
Sir, Suraj Kiran Ari has sent a message on the WhatsApp group, and his question is that can we create a program in only Python, or can you use other languages too? Because he has created programs in C++ for
No,
being
I have
glitch when we
created
need.
program in C.
Okay. So he has created it in C. So he wanted to know if you can use that also for open source programming.
You can use anything. You can use any language. You can just use, you can create text files or MD files in a repository for documentation. You can add images to it. You can add whatever. You can work in C, C++, Java, JavaScript, Python, R, whatever you want. Any language works. GitHub will support each and every language that you can even think of or not think of.
No, I was asking for this WIE Chandigarh
Do
repository.
that, do
That
that. As
is
a
it?
matter of fact, it is appreciated. It is appreciated if you have written code in some other language. Just create a different folder for that and add whatever files you've written, and you'll get it.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody
Anything
else
else?
have any questions? You can surely ask.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir. Sir, if we use the GitHub editor online, then do we not have to use the command prompt?
No. So that is why I first explained the command prompt thing, so that you can see how difficult things can
No,
be,
like
and
we
then it
first
will.
created the folder, then uh,
No, yes, you're working on your
after that it is clear
Fortran.
that
Yes, you don't have to work on the local repository anymore. Then.
okay, sir. Okay.
Suraj,
Sir, I was asking for a request. So, can anyone update that git ignore because uh, there is no that git ignore for C files and then for a.out files, which I'm since I'm using Linux, so there's nothing to git ignore for a.out.
just add it yourself.
So,
That is the beauty of that is the beauty of open source. Go on Git and update it.
so can I just edit that git ignore file as well?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
But make it very clear in the description of that pull request, okay? That you are adding uh, this thing, and write it in proper bold words. That this is an important update.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
So, yeah, anybody else have any questions? So, okay, I see that nobody has any questions. Before we start to end this session, I would like to tell you all to stay because we have an exciting announcement which would be done by our webmaster Aryan Malik at the end of the session. So please stay and be here till the end. And I would like to invite our Vice Chair of Women in Engineering, Shruti Guhar, to present the token of thanks to Mr. Utkarsh for this amazing session.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much, Utkarsh, for taking time out of your busy schedule and giving insightful session on Hacktoberfest, Git and GitHub. So I guess most of the students out here will get benefits and start working on what we actually wanted the students to gain from this session. So without wasting a lot of time, just because everyone is going to head to their dining table for having dinner. So I would like to thank once again on behalf of IEEE WIE Chandigarh University Student Branch for giving a very insightful session on GitHub Hack-The-Hacktoberfest 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So over to Aryan Malik. He's the webmaster of Women in Engineering Student Branch, and he would be telling you about some exciting news. So over to you, Aryan.
Thank you, Nandini. And am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
So, before starting with the announcement part, first of all, not as an executive member, but as a participant, I would like to thank Utkarsh. Like, it was a very engrossing session. And I personally forgot that I was having a session. It was like I was watching some tutorial of a great, teacher. So now heading over to the part of announcement. So guys, as you know that our university has collaborated with Facebook through Reskill related to AR VR submissions. So basically it is a very phenomenal opportunity for you all as the certificates to all the participants will be directly provided by Meta. And हमारे पास बहुत सारे prizes हैं. To be very honest with you all, we have a plethora of prizes ranging from MacBook Air to OnePlus Nord, Amazon Alexa. So, like this is a very big opportunity. So do participate. And it was a wonderful session again, Utkarsh. Thank you.
So I would actually like to ask all of you to turn on your cameras so we can take a group selfie, because since this is an online session, we usually can't take selfies. Yes, Rishabh Raj has a question. Please speak out. Rishabh, are you here? Okay, so I don't think, can you hear me, Rishabh Raj? Okay, he's a first year MBA student. Go on with your question, whatever you have. Okay, so Rishabh's question is that he's a first year MBA student, and how can he participate in this Hacktoberfest?
You need to find what you're good with. If you're good with writing, you're good with English, go ahead, scan for repositories which probably have a lot of errors in the documentation. If you're good with graphics, go ahead and take screenshots of the way the application works and add it to the README files. README files are absolutely amazing. README files are what developers and users are going to see first when they open that repository. It is the face of that organization, and so it is very important that it is up to date. And so any updates you make to that file are very much appreciated in the entire community. So you need to find what you're good at, and then like not capitalize, and then think how you can contribute to that with that in any repository or any organization.
Well, I hope Rishabh's question was answered. And I would really ask you all to turn on your cameras. We can take a group selfie because this is an online session. We can't take pictures. So it can be a fun way for us to have a memory of this. Please do turn on your cameras. Okay, I see some of the cameras are turned on. Other people, come on, come on. It's a selfie time.
And can we have a signature, signature pose?
Sure, sure. That would be amazing. Okay, okay. Everybody can make the signature piece. I think that's the art generations. Okay, so cheese. Okay, this is amazing. We took a group selfie together. I would like to thank all of you guys for being here, especially Mr. Utkarsh and IEEE Chandigarh student branch. All of us were here. We learned so much, and I hope all of you will also contribute in the Hacktoberfest, and you can contribute in any way. I hope you learn more about GitHub. And thank you so much for being here. It was amazing to be in this session with you all. So have a nice night, go have your dinner, and thank you so much.